Likkutei Torah, Parshas Nosai, page 52. 8 lines from the end of the first column. Last thing the Alter Rebbe was explaining, that this koyach to elevate all the sparks of the world is through the level of tefillah, which is milchama, which is a level of tefillah. And he says by tefillah, by fighting nefesh habamis, you come to the level of v'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, that your whole desire is only to be with Elokus, and then you're able to be asafta deganecha, then you're able to elevate all the sparks of kedusha. Because if the purpose of eating and all that is not to elevate it, so then it schleps you down into evil. So in order to come to the level of asafta deganecha, that you should be able to elevate the sparks. That's through the avodah of tefillah, mamata l'mayla. And then he says, that's the whole union of a person. Like the last thing we're learning, it says, Zerati is Beis Yisrael. Hashem planted the Yidden. What's the planting? You stick them in the dirt, you cover it with dirt, it's complete bittul, and then it flourishes and blossoms out into many fruits. The same thing, the neshama is planted in the guf, covered, concealed, all the way through dirt and mud, and the purpose is to blossom through Torah mitzvahs. So he says, K'maymer Azali, the Gemara says, Legolu Yisrael, Elokadei Shiteis, V'aleim Geidim. The whole reason why the Yidden went into Golus is they should add, just the simple meaning is they should add more converts. Now we know that's not true because the Yidden don't go out to make Geidim. We don't proselytize, we don't go out to make Geidim. So Chassidus explains, what does it mean to add Geidim? To gather all the sparks of Kedusha that fell all over the countries. Because if you'd only been Eretz Yisrael, how are you going to elevate the sparks all over the world? So Hashem sticks us all over the world in Golus. Like it says, therefore Hashem made Adam ba'aretz. That it should nourish itself from the physical objects of the world. That all the powers of Daimim Tzemei Chai, like he said before, everything in the world of Daimim Tzemei Chai is elevated by Medaber, by the Jew doing Torah mitzvahs. L'hach is called Nefesh V'roch Kol Basar. B'chai is a Nefesh V'roch Adam Eilam Maila B'kirshmo Tefillah. Okay, so he says, what's the Aveda? Why did Hashem dump the Nefesh Olekis in her body in Nefesh Habamis? The answer is, this is the planting in order to add more sparks of Kedusha. Therefore Hashem made that the person needs to be nourished from the physical world, and then you elevate the sparks to a much greater place. Therefore a person needs to daven every single day to elevate all the sparks. Okay? Therefore a person needs to daven every day. From this bracha, so he says like this, the Alter Rebbe is explaining now Birkas Kohanim. Yivarechecha means that this bracha from Hashem comes down. How does it get v'yishmerecha? That this bracha has to be from the Aved of the Jew, she'tzricha shima min hamazikim. It needs to be guarded. Shmira, it needs to be protected from the evil forces. Not to get a nourishment from this love of Elokus to love evil. In other words, like this. He says this is the level of Hashem planting the Jew, the bracha that he gives us. But this bracha needs to have shmira. What do you mean it needs to be guarded? You can't allow this bracha to come from Hashem, which the purpose of it is to elevate the sparks of Kedusha, Talukuz. We have to make sure, though, it's not going to lower us down into Klippa. It needs protection. That he shouldn't think he's great because of it, or lias inspired as regardless mimenu. Because a guy thinks, as the pasuk says, you'll get rich and you think, my power, my brains, my cheating, my whatever it is, this is what did it. So then what do? You take Hashem's bracha that He gave us, all the gashmistic things, and you lower it into klipa. The pasuk says, who can go up to Har Hashem niki kapayim bar levov? What does bar levov mean? A clean heart, meaning sheya bli shum taru v'zor chas v'sholom. Okay, it has to make sure that this bracha from Hashem Yivarachecha has to have a level that it needs to be guarded, because this bracha that Hashem gives us can go the wrong places if we don't handle it correctly. V'nei ayidei serus the lusat becomes a serus the elu through that down here it causes Hashem to awaken, like it says in Yosef elav libay. If you put your heart to Hashem, then ruach ay seruach v'amshech ruach, then it breaks Yoy Hashem Panav Lachem Umayla Lamata. So what do we say after Yivarach Hashem Yishmerecha? Then we say Yoy Hashem through the Shemitah, meaning we make sure that this brach of Hashem goes to the right places. So then through this avodah it becomes Yoy Hashem Panav Lacha. Then we awaken this Gilui Mumayla. That what happens? Mumayla Shekmei Shul Chavetz Mistake and Mevakish. Just like Hashem wants, that should be Gili Erintzah Baruch V'Neid Mulvati Lemata Kamei Lemailom. That's what Hashem wants. Kachiyum Shul Mamayla Hamshach Asar is Gili Zashim Mavakish. This really what the Jew wants. The Jew through the Aved of Tefillah, what does he want? Like you said before, Le'avas Hashem Elokecha. That the Av of Hashem becomes Elokecha, meaning Eneid Mulvati. So he says, when a person has the Shemitah, meaning it makes sure that it's only utilizing Kedusha, so then Hashem reveals Himself Taka Einoid Mulvadi. Yarshem Ponim, the Pnimius. The hardest Ponim, which is the level of Chochmah, like it says, Chochmas Adam Tar Ponim. The Pasuk says, from the face of the person, you can see if he's a Chochmah or not. Chochmas Adam Tar Ponim means the Chochmah of a person shines on his face. What do you mean Chochmah? Koyachma vein eid mulvadi.
Any bracha attracts klipa?
Could attract klipa. If a person gets a bracha from Hashem, let's say abundance of parnasa, right? So number one, he could start thinking he's better than everybody else. He can start using the money for the wrong purposes. He can use it to say how great he is. That's all the...
Not only person, the masa needed shmira.
Yeah. Matzah is the same thing. Bittul needs shmira. What?
He's saying that if you have a Shusterman Sata, you're going to do a Shusterman Leila, then it's going to be a Shabbat Alecha.
Right.
But the whole inning of Kohanim is you just stand there and they're showering with bracha.
Yeah.
There's no need for your avodah to be matched from bracha. The chayra, I mean, that was my
No, there is.
That Kohanim are just mamshach.
He is explaining what is Yivarach Hashem Yishmerecha. So he explains. The Rebbe asked the question at the beginning: what's the connection between a Jew benching and a kezayis and your Hashem Panav Elacha? Yis Hashem he finds favoritism. So he explains what's the holy aveda of food. The aveda of food is the milchama that to elevate the gashmiistic sparks that Hashem put in the physical world. And that's why He put the neshama in the world, to elevate the world to a higher place. So he says that's what Birkat Kohanim is all about. Yerach Hashem gives you a brach of gashmiistic things, of food, or gashmis, or gashmis. And then this food needs yishmerecha, it needs your avodah. And then through that avodah that you're utilizing and realizing, Einoid Movadi, so the Gashmistic world is only there to serve Hashem, not for ego or yeshus or enjoyment or whatever it is. So then that causes a higher level in Birkat Kohanim, Yor Hashem Panav Elacha. Yeah, we're standing in the Legailim. That comes after the avodah of Yivarach Hashem Yishmerecha. And then the Kohanim, they give the bracha, because when the person is a keli to the bracha of a kohen, then he gets the bracha. So in order to have Yoreh Hashem Panav Eilecha, the pasuk first says something else. Yibarach Hashem, Hashem is giving you the bracha, the gashmistic things, but it needs shmira. Then how do you need shmira? Davening and all that, the milchama, like he says, and then you realize that ain't eid milvada, and gashmis is only to elevate it. So then that causes Yoreh Hashem Panav Eilecha.
But it says the Ishmael. Hashem is protecting it anyway.
Yeah, but it has to be our shmira. Hashem said, V'yishmerecha, He'll allow you to have that shmira. The avodah of the Jew is not to allow. Anytime you get a bracha, you can be utilized the right way, or it can be utilized the wrong way. It can be utilized the right way, thanking Hashem, realizing Hashem gave me this bracha, therefore I have to use the money, let's say, the way Hashem wants me to use it, not the way I want to use it. And then that comes, so that avodah causes a greater gilui of Hashem, because now you made a keli.
There is preservation and there is enrichment involved.
First has to come preservation,
Right.
and then you can have enrichment.
Yes.
But it starts, Hashem gives you a bracha from above. And then Hashem said, V'yishmerecha, guard what I'm giving you. Make sure it's going in the right way. Like it says, Ezel Chacham Eres Neilet. Who is the Chacham, one that sees the future? That's simply, yeah? Simply, the Gemara means like this. What is a Chacham? A guy likes a certain food, let's say. But he knows that food's going to cause him to have stomach aches for a week. So a fool will eat the food anyway, because right now he wants to eat it. A week later he's going to suffer from it, so he's a fool. A Chacham understands that enjoyment now for 2 minutes is not worth that's the simple meaning of the Gemara. But here it says, Ezel Chacham Areyas and Neila means he sees the power of Hashem that keeps everything continuously born and continuously created. So the way Chassidus explains the Gemara is, Ezel Chacham is a level of bittul. Harayas and Neilad, who sees that everything is continuously recreated, miyayin liyash. Ki besaru sedul esat of Shema Yisrael. Shema loshen havana. So why they is baining is because Shema is only understanding. Harayas and Neilad is to see it. Seeing is believing. When somebody understands, even in English, they have an expression. When somebody understands something very well, they say, oh, I see. What do you mean you see? You don't see, you understand it. Sometimes when you see something, like Chassidus explains, if I see this, you could bring me 1,000,000 proofs it's not here, I will not buy it, because I saw it. It doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter, I saw it. Seichel, understanding, you could prove to me I don't understand it. But when you see, seeing is believing. So it's not enough to have Shema Yisrael. You need actually the level of Re'iyah, or Re'yas HaNeilet. Therefore it's interesting. In Chumash, the one of Eschanan, Ekev says, V'aya Ekev Tishma'un. Then the next parsha is Re'eya Nechi Nesin Lefnechem. It's going up. From the level of Ekev Tishma'un, which is the heel, which is Tishma'un, understanding, then you come to a higher level of Re'iyah.
So Reuven Rabbi is the highest level.
Reuven is higher than Shimon. Shimon is Shmi, understanding. Reuven is Reuven. That's why he uses the Bechor. He said, Vein Dame and Shmi L'Re'iyah. Can't compare here understanding to seeing. Shema, Ki Bechinas Gili Koyach Ma. Habam El Maila. What comes from above, the Gili Zehu B'Teira. Where is this Gili of Chachma? Teira, because what is Teira? Chachma say Shalach HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the wisdom of Hashem. Ki Adais min Chachma Nafkas, and Chachma say is Baruch Shalom Maila El Shem Lubeb Shes Begashmis. It comes into Gashmistic thing. Zroim Mayid. which is mayim sheyordim gavay mimakim gavay lemakim namuch. In other words, you have chachma and bina. Chachma and bina is also bina's understanding. That's shmiya. Chachma is al chachma rayas and eilad. Chacham is a level of re'iyah because chacham is bittul. Understanding is not bittul. Understanding means I understand. Re'iyah, there's no me involved. It's a level of bittul. That's why it says, who is the chachma? What's the level of chachma? Harayas and Neilad, he sees the creation of Yesh Miyayim, which realizes Einayt Milvadi.
But Rabbi, a judge cannot judge just by seeing.
He's not allowed to.
He's not allowed to. So you see, in a certain sense,
No, that's the Adarabah. When the Gemara says, Ein Eid Nasadayim, a witness cannot become a judge. That means if a Bezdin was walking in the street and they witnessed a murder, they're not allowed to sit on that case. Yeah, so the question is, L'chaira, isn't that better than witnesses coming and tell you something happened?
Right.
Witnesses are coming to tell you something. Why is, if I saw it myself, why do the judge could say guilty? So explanation of this is because a judge has to be impartial. V'shavto eida v'yitzilo eida, the pasuk says. Gemara says a judge must be impartial. If he's not impartial, he can't judge properly. Once you see something, you're not impartial anymore. When you hear it from witnesses, then you can still be impartial. Because you can have other witnesses that say the opposite. Once you see something, you're never impartial. That's because it's too strongly connected. That's why you're disqualified. Not because seeing is less than hearing. It's more than, therefore you're disqualified from being a judge.
He's qualified as a witness, a judge. Yeah,
What?
Exactly. He's qualified as a witness.
He's qualified as a witness. But he can't be a judge. Because he's not impartial anymore. By the way, the Rabbi says that in Kunsiyon Shotei Chassidus, he says this concept, and then in the heart at the bottom he says, therefore, Ein Eid not, that's the reason why Ein Eid Nasadayim. Because once you see something, you're not impartial anymore. Then, that's what it says in the Satim Tar Artzechem. Hashem says, I will give the rain, like it says, Kasher Yerid HaGeshem HaShel Min HaShemayim, Ken Yadvori Asher Yetzim Mipi. So be the words that come out of my mouth, meaning, Sha'idei Motor Zeh, through this gilui from above of rain, V'yasafta Digonecha, then you'll be able to create, meaning, this Arusa de La'ela from above, that allows the person to be V'yasafta Digonecha, Li'es Mochin, Mishkan U'mochin L'shifta Yizborich, L'abom Momayli is Echad Be'echad. In other words, like this. You have davening, which is the Aveda Momato. That creates the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That allow us Hashem Elokeinu, that allow that as V'yavtas Hashem Elokecha, that Havaya becomes Elokecha. That awakens from above in the Satim Tar Artzechem, a gilui of rain, a gilui Momayla. That allows you, it's like a continuous cycle. Then V'yasafta Digonecha. Then you're going to gather your grain, gather all the sparks together. And then it says, Yor Shampana Velecha Vichuneka. What does Vichuneka mean? Loshin Chen. Number one means charm, Chen, and also means Chania camping, Vayichen Sham Yisrael. Like as Chanu David is Bechinas Veshechanti Besechem. What do you cause from this Yor Shampana Velach, which follows the Yivarech on the Shmira? Then you have this Gilu of Yor Shampana Velacha. Vichuneka means you camp it, you internalize it, you live it.
Also, I think the charm that God endows you with allows you to really enjoy what you have, because a lot of time you are blessed with abundance, but the people around you envy that and they actually wish you harm. But then if people around you actually are happy with what you're endowed with, you really enjoy what you have.
That's we have forever come up.
It's Yechunecha, that God gives.
That I'm not. There's a million interpretations of Yichunek. Here he's discussing it in a deeper sense according to Chassidus. Like I mentioned this in one of the Birkat classes recently. Somebody, a great rabbi once said that if a poor man wins the lottery, he's still a schnorrer. He didn't become rich. He's still a schnorrer that has money. Because it's a mentality.
That's how people
People can have a lot of money and live poor. Because not because people are jealous of them. There's a mentality to, in Yiddish it's called Verquetschkeit, narrow-minded versus broad-minded. You can have many people, it doesn't matter they're rich, brilliant people. They can live a very, in Yiddish, verquetscht, you know what I mean? Narrow-minded. It's more than narrow-minded.
We like to see them
and
like
then,
this because we envy them. We like to see them as such. You see, this guy, and all of a sudden
you know what, let me tell you something. And then the people are happy when he loses the money.
A guy can have a beach house, a guy can have a beach house on the beach, and a guy can have a beach house, let's say, 5 minutes away. His envy is the fact that he's not on the beachfront. You know, how many people, it's like,
Okay, but here he's not defining it like that. I'm not saying you're right, there is such a definition. But he's saying Vichuneka means this Yoyer Hashem Panav Elecha, this revelation from above has to be in a way Vichuneka that you camp it, you internalize it. And as the Ashos earns of Mamish, V'chin is Gilu Lamato, Kamei Lamaila. To have the Gilu Lamaila down here like it is up there. V'zau in Birkat Samazin. Amshach is Gilu Elokus Momaila. Al Kirchas V'chayshin is Chadish Badami Amalchol. Therefore he says like this. What's the meaning of benching? Birkat Samazin, which is a biblical mitzvah. V'yachalto v'savato v'rachto. He said that Gil Elokus Mamayla. When Gimel brachas der Reise Revius der Rabban. We know the first 3 brachas of benching are biblical. The last bracha Kelavinu Malkeinu is rabbinic. That's why we say Amen between normally you don't answer Amen on your own brachas. But to separate between the biblical and the rabbinic. So he said, what does it mean? Dalit pamim barach ato liyasnim shel gilin ma benefesh u'ba'elam kilu neichach, to bring it down into the 4 worlds. Shaideis and is barred v'nifid mima shoyetchila. Then what happens? The person becomes refined and separated. From until now he was under the jurisdiction of evil, of klipa, v'nichla b'kedusha, and then he becomes kedusha. Lias bechinas keli u'machin l'shifta ashaz gila erinta baruch mamish, to be a keli for elokus. What? And the 4th one is to bring it down in all levels. Not only in a biblical level, but internalize it even in the rabbinic level. Okay, so he says like this. But remember, if you said it, remember at the beginning, he explained that biblically it also says only v'achalta v'savat if you're full. Then you have a biblical mitzvah to bench. And the Hashem says, now the Jews were machme, even if they only eat a kazayis, they also thank me. So he says, im eichel kadei sviyah, like in Dalit. If he ate kadei sviyah, oz lechem evavenish yisid shayidei lechem yichye chay nafshi. Who lived the life of his nefesh. V'achayis hakula b'nafshi. He nechlalis b'kedusha. Then it becomes part of kedusha. B'salis a nefesh, when the nefesh becomes elevated, like he said before, b'sgalus b'chinas gila ernzav Hashem mizgal v'chochma. V'shachayis hu yashri b'kedusha mimetzit pi Hashem shumakar achayim. So he says like this: when are you mamshech this birchas hamazon? When the person is full. That means it's full of chayas, of the gashmistic food. Then he realizes einay milvad, and he brings down the brachas. But if he's not full, meaning shlei lok nefesh, that the nefesh only took a limited amount of chayis and kedusha because he only ate a kazayis, ein koyach b'chayis zeh. It that is the koyach of this limited food. Ein b'elam miyat kedusha does not have the koyach. This gala b'chinas chachma shemis gala b'nefesh doesn't have the koyach to become part of chachma or l'chol l'sacha b'kedusha. In other words, it says like this: when a person's full, that means the whole life is now, the whole body is saturated, full. So then he realizes the chayis, the whole body is getting a chayis, he's full from kedusha. But what happens? He eats a little bit, so there's only a little bit of kedusha he's elevating.
But these days it's a blessing if you have the discipline not to overeat. Whereas before it was a blessing.
We're talking in ruchnias, and you're talking in gashmias. You're talking about the fats of the stomach,
yes.
And here he's talking about the fats of the neshama.
So by having brachas hamazon, even a little. So by having brachas.
The Menachem Chernobyl learned.
Oh, yeah, he used to get heavy.
He was, what's the, has the English, copulate? What him?
Yeah.
He was heavy.
Corpulent,
Yes.
corpulent.
And he said he was heavy from Omen Yehi Shmei Rabbos. He didn't get fat from eating food. It says that he got fat of the enjoyment of answering Amen Yeshmei Rabbah. That was like by him physical food. Okay? You're talking about, yeah, you have to be healthy. We're not talking about being healthy or not. But what happens, what did the Jews do though?
Even with that
And this is where what you said comes in. Even a little bit of chayis, they brought down that kedusha.
by brachas
From
hamazon.
Hashem himself, he says, listen, in order to bring down this level of kedusha, you have to be full, because then the whole body is engulfed in elevating the sparks of kedusha. But if it's only a little bit of food, the kazayis, you can't do it. Comes along the Jews, and Hashem gave him this power, obviously, that a Jew comes along and says, you know what, I'm going to do it even with a little, even when I'm on a diet, and I'm eating a little bit of food. I'm also going to do the same accomplishment as a lot of food. That's why you have to eat a little bit. Years ago, before the Chacham and the Yidden did this, in order to bring down a lot of Kedusha, you needed to eat a lot of food. Nowadays, you're able to accomplish it with less.
Especially
That's why you can eat less.
And that's why brachas hamazon.
You know that in Russia, the Gemara says about this, but people, our previous generation, women, the Gemara speaks about the women will wear a very tight necklace because then you look fatter.
oh,
It make you look fatter. And fat in Europe was a sign of wealth.
same thing as wrong.
Okay, we'll let that country come in there too. So, because fat was that you had money, skinny people, then so years ago that's what people would do to look fat. But now you can be wealthy with skinny.
Now they have the cars.
Quoi?
Now they have the